of all the costuming you do, Star Wars is the best, right?
I mean,
That's
It's just the best.
I just covered
Star
that.
Wars is the superior costuming group.
I mean, I just kind of covered that. I like all of them.
Yeah, but whenever you do all this stuff, you still got to admit Star Wars is just the best. It's the easiest to
hands
do,
down.
and you get dressed faster. And
I mean, I would probably have to see the different costumes on how fast we get. But again, I really am a geek and love all of it and enjoy trying my hand and embodying just all of the fandoms and everything. Again, to live up to the Geek Out Studio and just this is me geeking out over my fandom and everything.
So all that being said, what is your favorite fandom?
I really actually don't have a favorite fandom.
Admit it, Star Wars is the best! It's the best fandom!
Hey, and welcome to episode 4 of the Armor Bites podcast. Today we will be discussing your favorite video game fandoms brought into costuming and how they interplay in with movies and other tie-ins. That's going to be a fun topic today.
And video games as a media in general. Yeah.
Just a little bit of everything.
And one of the most popular video games we have right here it's this fantastic Halo helmet. Our special guest today is CO of our local
Southern Regiment. Yeah, Southern Regiment.
Southern Regiment.
The whole Southern
of
Regiment.
The 405th, and a friend of ours for how many years now? Long time.
Oh, 2 or 3 maybe, 10, 5, I don't know.
Yeah, has it been 2 weeks? Has it been 7 years? I just
maybe,
don't know.
Maybe 3 weeks. I don't know.
After that time, that 3-year period that we can't talk about, I just have no ability to tell time anymore.
No. I can't either. I'm glad you picked this topic for today for video games. I just happen to be wearing one of my favorite video game shirts.
Yeah.
I love
Our special guest for today, we'll go ahead and bring him in on camera.
Yeah,
Barry Kiker.
Come on
in.
Well, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I'm gonna turn my questions on here.
Okay.
And turn your volume off this time.
Oh yeah, good call.
Yeah,
good call.
Yes, I already did that. And you have real questions. Ooh, I
have
special.
legitimate questions. I have absolute legitimate questions.
I will try and supply legitimate answers.
All right. So first off, tell us a little bit about who you are. What do you do? Just the generals. Your bio.
Okay. Well, first name's Barry. I'm the CO for the Southern Regiment of the 405th Infantry Division. That's the worldwide Halo costuming community. I've been that for about a year now. Before that, I was the XO for the Southern Regiment, and that I was for about maybe 3 or 4 years. I don't know. I also have a personal cosplay page where I go by Geek Out Studio on there.
Yes.
And I've been.
Are you are you on all the socials Instagram, TikTok,
yes.
all that? All right. So
yes, actually, I just started.
Check below. We're gonna have some links for all of Barry's info, so you can go give him a whole bunch of hate mail.
Yeah.
Not
yes,
hate
you
mail.
can, yeah.
Barry's got some fantastic costumes.
Yeah.
It's Geek Out Studios for a reason. Go geek out over his awesome costumes.
Barry does some amazing things.
Thank you.
I've seen him wear them. He's brought them into the shop. He just does great work.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for the flattery. I can use that.
One thing as makers and creators, we always know.
Yes.
That we know where all the flaws are. Okay, that's number one. We just know where every little nitpick. I didn't do something right here. I didn't do something right here. But whenever somebody sees you in it, they see pictures of it. They don't see that.
Oh yeah,
I call
it the curse of the creator because when you've been working on a piece for hundreds of hours. You see those things because you're like, I can't get these seams flush right here. But like you said, it's not until you've got that 6 feet rule and you're all suited up, everybody just sees the full thing.
Yeah.
They're not coming into and picking apart I mean, if they are, I hope they bought you dinner first. So.
Get a life.
That's right. If
Yeah.
somebody's up that close, up and personal, yeah,
Right,
I hope
yeah.
they bought you dinner first.
Please.
No, I see right here you use 25 millimeter nylon.
Yes.
26 millimeter. You're not good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
So how long have you been costuming overall?
I have been costuming overall for 10 years. I started when Pensacon first started.
Okay.
So yeah, that should tell you.
Is that what got you into costuming? Was Pensacon? Or
yeah.
was it just an Pensacon?
It
was
was an opportunity because spoiler alert, I've been a geek pretty much my whole life. So yeah, no,
There's no way. The switch just didn't flip one day.
Yeah, no,
And you were like all about rom-coms.
Yeah.
And then you were like,
hey,
wow.
hey now, don't be besmirching the rom-com genre. There are some true gems
All
in
right,
there.
well, next week we'll be reviewing The Notebook.
That's not a rom-com.
Oh, that's right.
See?
50 First Dates.
See,
That's rom-com. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
All right, there's something about Mary.
That's
Yeah, there we go.
That's rom-com.
All right, now
Okay.
we're there. All right. Welcome to the Rom-Com Podcast.
So about a decade,
Right,
and
yeah.
Pensacon was just the convenient opportunity
Mm-hmm.
for you. Had you already had any like plans or aspirations, and you were like, okay, this is my shot. I'm going to make this costume.
So yes, actually, because before that, I would spend time again watching anime, playing games, watching movies, and just be like, man, it would be really cool to wear that or do something about it. And so when Pensacon came around, it's like, okay, now I can actually go down this avenue. And funnily enough, my ODST is actually my first costume. It was my first costume. It was my first kit, and so forth. Largely because with Halo, we'll explore this in a moment, but I like the lore behind the ODST because they're just, they're not super soldiers. They're
not the Spartans.
Yeah, no, they're just crazy guys that get shoved into a coffin and shot from a ship to the planet. So, and I'm just like, yes, please sign me up for that.
Yeah. So
yeah.
This was your very first costume, so it's near and dear to your heart.
Yes.
Do you have any other costumes that are your favorite for like, well, this was like my best work, was this particular one, or something, or is this just overall your favorite?
It's my favorite. I love wearing armor. My best work was either my most recent Obi-Wan Kenobi or Trevor Belmont from Castlevania. I made everything on those. With Obi-Wan, if it wasn't leather, I made it. With Trevor, I made literally everything I was wearing, except the shoes, because I'm not a cobbler.
Yeah, but you do pretty much everything. I mean, I've seen on Geek Out Studios, you do leatherworking, you do a ton of stitching, you have several 3D printers to fabricate.
Actually, no. No, I don't have. No, I don't have 3D printers. I either commission or buy those. With leatherworking, that's up for a new project I'm doing. I'm going to be doing Zach Fair from Final Fantasy VII for a con in June. And what else? But the most notable costume, strangely enough, is when I do Infinity War Captain America.
Yeah, well, that's an iconic one. I mean, everybody has seen the movies.
Right. Funny story about that, though, is actually the first time I wore that, I was coming from a photo shoot. It was at Pensacon. People from across the street kept saying, I crossed the street and they ran up to me and they had this, like, once they got close, they kind of had this crestfallen look and they're like, oh, we thought you were like the actual Captain America. I was like,
yeah, yours is convincing.
I was like,
especially
you
with the
thought
beard and
I was Chris Evans? They're like, kind of. I was like, you do realize he's got like 2 inches and like 100+ pounds of muscle on me, right?
That's definitely where the 6-foot rule comes in.
Right, yeah.
Like from across the street, you're like,
Yeah.
he's wearing all the right stuff.
And that's a testament to a really good costume
And I'm
is
just
when
like,
people run
okay,
up to you like that from across a
Right.
parking lot or across the street or even across the room, and they're like, "Oh wow, I thought that you were so
yeah,
and so
yeah.
or whatever."
So I'm like,
that's-
okay, thank
for,
you.
for a costuming nerd, like that's a huge thing. That tells you, okay, I'm doing this right. Like,
Yes.
I'm nailing it.
So yeah, I was just like, okay, thank you. I'm going to just move along.
Yeah.
So
You are current CO, former XO of the Southern
Southern Regiment.
So how does that work?
Okay.
Yeah.
With-
Tell us
with
about
all
the
that,
Halo
like,
group.
We're Southern Regiment, so is that like
Right.
all the way over to SoCal or?
Yeah, so we're used to the 501st
Yes.
Garrison system, which is similar, but it's going to be different in
Right.
how the lines.
So a couple of things. First and foremost, the 405th Regiment is again the global Halo costuming community. I forget when it was established, but I want to say it was early 2000.
Yeah, they've been around a long
Yes.
time.
So
I remember seeing a lot of like EVA Master Chiefs and stuff like
actually,
that.
when
at
it
early
first
conventions,
started,
early
when it first
2000s.
started, it was all for Pepakura, like the old school Pepakura, where you cut and folded the cardstock, then you reinforced it with
the
fiberglass resin and everything. Anyways, so but
Oh no, I'm very familiar with
Yes.
Pepakura too.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Right.
The early days of Pepakura were like you didn't have people designing it
Right.
as much as they were pulling the game rips out.
Out
I mean,
and
like
then
it's already
unfolding.
polygon.
Yeah.
unfolding
So
the
it
polygons.
unfolds and then you fold it and you get a lot
yeah.
of paper cuts,
Cuts and
glue
glues.
fingers together.
Yep.
And huff chemicals.
yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then everybody discovered EVA foam, and then realized like, oh my gosh. And then 3D printing came along, and now that's the next big thing. But as I was saying, the 405th Infantry Division, we specialize and focus on Halo costuming across all genres and across all games of Halo. So we have members and projects that cover all the games. We have projects members that cover all of the ancillary stuff. Some of the motion picture Halo media. I had words.
TV shows.
Yes.
Yeah, TV shows. Yeah.
And so forth. And so how we're organized, since you're asking about that, is we are organized by geography. Here in the Southern Regiment, we're actually one of the largest regiments in the 405th Infantry. Our regiment goes from basically Virginia all the way down and west to, it stops at Texas.
Okay.
So
So basically, the entire southeastern.
yeah,
US.
Truly the Southeast.
Yes,
Yeah.
we cover. I think there's 13 states that are in the Southwest.
So
not
you've got
Southwest,
Louisiana,
Mississippi,
Mississippi, Tennessee,
Florida.
Kentucky.
I think maybe.
Yeah. Did I say Alabama?
No, you skipped over.
Alabama.
Yeah.
Florida, obviously.
North, South,
Georgia.
The Carolinas.
Carolinas, and Virginia, and I think we even have Washington D.C. in
okay.
in the Southern Regiment.
Close enough. Wait until like membership gets up bigger.
Right.
And they can start kind of branching off.
Yes, so that's how we're organized. Also, the Southern Regiment is either second or first with number of active members in the whole 405th Infantry. We're generally only tied with or second to the West Coast, so forth. And that's how we're organized. We don't have anything right now that goes smaller. We're working on establishing what are called battalions, which would probably go down to the state, and then maybe even fire teams, which would go down to actually your local,
Okay,
your
that makes
local
sense.
people.
Like, I mean, and that way you don't even have to like break up if
Right,
y'all
yeah.
didn't want to. Y'all could stay as the Southern Regiment and then
Right.
sub it down to squads,
Right.
fire teams.
Well,
were
and
tight.
yeah, and that because you have situations like how we have in Florida. Most of the Florida activity and members are in Central Florida around Orlando and everything. And then you have my group, which is up here in the Panhandle, but most of us can easily make that drive over to Mobile.
Well, we got a lot of stuff within
yeah.
2 hours.
Yeah.
Each direction,
So,
except south.
so that's when we're looking at going down like that. But another kind of key thing with the 405th is that we have two, to say it for the viewers, is we have two repositories for any and all files for
Yes.
pretty much any.
I've browsed through those. There's some fantastic
Yes.
resources.
The first one is called the Armory. That is where you can go and get your foam and Pepacure files for any armor prop for pretty much any. We've got it organized by game, and then we also have it organized by faction, because while most of what you see will be Spartans and UNSC, we actually do have a couple of people that have done elites and other Covenant species.
If only I were short enough to pull off a grunt.
I can actually
I
believe
don't
it.
know. We got some 6-foot-tall Jawas out there.
Well, a case in point, lore point, grunts are roughly the size of apes. So a grunt is about the size of a human. Elites are about 7 to 8 feet tall.
I thought the grunts were a lot smaller. They,
Well, Master
they
Chief is
seem
just
a
so
lot
big.
smaller. Well, that's
Yes.
true. That's true. Your comparison can be thrown off because
Yes.
of the video
He's
game.
like 12 feet tall.
Right. Which going to the Armory, which is why we also recommend with the props and everything, all the props are 1-to-1, which sometimes we recommend you downscale because they are scaled to a Spartan, which is about 7 feet, roughly a ton once in full armor and everything.
Yeah.
So, and then we have a secondary index, which I think is just the 3D index, which has all of the 3D files for all the armors and everything, which most of them are pulled directly from the game. So you basically can't get more accurate than that.
Sure. Now, one thing that, comparing it to what I know of with the 501st, in the Halo universe, there are the normal like fabric uniform officers and things like that. You guys cover them as well.
Yes. The only drawback though is we don't have any patterns because they're all like future Navy, future Marine.
Well, but one of the benefits of the 405th over a group like the 501st is because you don't have those patterns.
Right. Yeah.
It's not like there's somebody who's like super nitpicking.
You
There's
have to do it this way.
You have to have
use
25
Yes.
stitches per inch. Yeah.
and a double over cross stitch with hex weave.
Nobody's going
no.
to kick you out because you used 1 inch instead of 25 millimeter or something like that.
Well, and to speak on that for a second, because I'm actually a member of both. I'm a member of
all three. You're also in the Rebel Legion.
well, I'm not in 501st. I'm just Rebel.
Oh,
and
I thought
I'm,
you had 501st costumes too.
No,
okay, my bad.
I just have Obi-Wan, so I'm just a good guy.
From a certain point of view.
From a certain point of view.
Those are your words.
That's right.
Yes.
Your
Your
guy,
words.
if you believe the propaganda.
Yeah.
One thing I generally tell people when I do panels about the 405th, one of the key difference between the 405th and the 501st is that the 501st, you have to make a costume to join the club community. With the 405th, you actually, it's reverse. You join the club community to help and to make a costume. So our goal is all in helping our members and guiding our members to make this stuff from the Halo universe. And chances are, if you think of something like, hey, I would like to try this from this game, there is probably somebody out there that has done it, that has made the mistakes for it, and is willing to be like, hey, this is how, this is how you can do it better.
Now, I'm going to backpedal you a little bit right there. Because like in 501st, you don't have to make the costume, then join.
Right, yeah.
Things have changed the past 5 to 8 years because we were very forum heavy in,
Right, yeah.
in the early 2000s, and we had plenty of people joining the forums.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, I've got blah blah blah, and I'm doing my work in progress build thread,
Right,
and then other members were in there, so it was a very similar
Yes.
thing. But now that like a lot of groups have gone or have condensed down into like Facebooks and they're private groups, so you don't even know about them, it has made it seem more
Right.
exclusionary.
Right.
It's really not. Like, you can go to the like, just for example, our Garrison, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Go to those forums; they're pretty dead.
Yes.
I
know.
I'm still like a top 10 poster, and I
Yeah.
haven't posted anything in like, I don't know, 6-7 years.
Right. Yeah.
I just haven't been active at all there. But
So that's kind of our goal with the 405th.
so community.
You're right. Yeah.
Right.
Community and makers, because our community was actually spawned and was built by makers first. That just they played the game and it's like, I want to make some of this great stuff, and it just kind of coalesced from there.
I mean, that's a real good converse. We explained before. We were just a few stormtroopers that wanted to go places in armor and have a drink.
No,
And that's what we wanted to do.
I mean, you're wearing a 405th shirt.
Yeah,
so-
no. That's kind of our one of our taglines is create your character, and some of the big things in our mantles is community, creativity, and
Come on, no pressure here.
Yeah,
You're only the CEO.
I
no
can
pressure.
I can see it.
He could always
Community,
Yeah.
creativity,
And I think armor.
and competence.
Maybe, I don't know. It's been a while.
Well, I want to just know another the 3 C's: community, creativity, competence.
We actually
Don't cut your finger off.
we don't have
Caring.
that. We actually don't have like 3 C's. I'm just okay. We didn't workshop that. We didn't workshop it. Okay.
Okay, well, we'll give you a pass.
Right.
This time.
So yeah, that's
something you mention is that it's how it's different from the Rebel Legion or the 501st because of that. That's actually how, I mean, the Legion, I remember in the early days, that's how it was with the 501st.
And armor parties.
Yeah, the armor parties and things like that. It's not a bad thing, but it's a little bit of a, being the 501st is a victim of its own success. We've
Right.
gotten so big, and we've had, by the nature of getting so many members worldwide, we've had some fantastic people who've come in and they've offered their skill sets around, Glover making armor, Mike doing the soft bits, the dark side closet. There are people who have decided, hey, I can do this and help out my fellow costumers and make a career out of it. And as a kind of a natural progression, unfortunately, in my opinion, some people may feel different. You may think that it's a good thing. It's real easy for somebody to come into the Legion and literally buy their entire costume, have not a single creative bone in their body. And there's pros and there's cons to that.
yes.
It's the Tech Cruise special. You need
Right.
boots, flight suit, gloves, a belt, some patches. Less than $350. And it's membership.
Or for people who have more disposable income, they can drop a few grand and have an absolute top-notch costume, head to toe, everything included, and they don't do anything other than take it out of a box.
Not singling you out here or anything.
Well, and
that's
that's
the reason.
That's some of your sales.
Well,
is
I mean,
people
I mean,
who
it
buy
is.
costumes,
Like,
and
this
there's
guy in
nothing wrong with
particular,
that.
he had no problem fully commissioning everything, but he's also a lawyer. He probably doesn't have time.
That's true.
Because it's just you may have the skill, you don't have the time.
That's true. There's a world of difference between going to a convention on a Friday afternoon or a Saturday during the day versus putting in the dozens or potentially hundreds of hours to build certain costumes.
And that's similar with me. Is even though yes, I'm a costumer, cosplayer, however you want to label it, and everything. I enjoy making everything. Just because that is part of the challenge and part of the fun for me. But there are times when it's just like, I don't have the time. I don't feel impassioned or emboldened by this. So yeah, I'm just going to.
And sometimes you also have to bow out, be like, okay,
Yeah.
this guy specializes in leather goods. I have to make a crazy ornate leather
Right,
belt. And
yeah.
it's just like I'm just gonna give you the money.
Well,
You can do it faster.
See, and that happened with my Obi-Wan costume. I made everything, and I was sourcing and researching the stuff for my belt, and basically,
And your Kenobi is the General Kenobi from the prequels.
yes, Return,
that
Revenge of the
people
Sith.
aren't thinking
Yes,
he's
sorry,
trying to cosplay as you know.
I want to do that one next.
The
Is-
Kenobi?
The Kenobi.
Kenobi.
That's why I've got
I mean, it's
like-
working.
Yeah.
I mean, it works.
No,
Right.
I mean, people trying to imagine you as old Ben. That's
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Give
No.
that 15, 20 years. Stick
Yeah.
him on the beach for a
Yeah,
couple
right.
weeks.
I
and he'll
I
pick her up.
I do Revenge of the Sith Kenobi, so I get to go around and say I have the high ground and hello there. So it's great.
yeah.
But anyways, back to what I was saying with the belt is I was researching making the belt, and what it ultimately came down to was the price difference between me buying the complete belt and me getting all the materials and making it myself was, I think, a difference of $80, give or take.
$80 versus how much time savings.
Right. So I'm just like, okay, yes, sure, I'll go that route. So that was a nice win. And similar with this is like this is a Sean Bradley helmet, and my ODST is actually a Sean Bradley kit. It's a great kit. You can get, I think, the whole thing for. I haven't looked recently. When I got it, I want to say it was like $700-800 total. But I got it for like on a sale, and that was with helmet, visor, full kit, a couple other doodads and everything.
It's roughly about the same now.
Yeah.
I stumbled on his Etsy stuff here. That's a ballpark.
Right. So and it's a great kit if you want to get started. Which kind of segue into some of the other some of the ways you can get involved fairly easily and fairly quickly is it's hard to find now, but the disguise Halloween costume,
Yeah,
the
rubies.
yeah, the rubies, the rubies Halo 3 Master Chief is a great kit too. After I would recommend you go through and reinforce it. It's very thin plastic, but after
I'm pretty sure it's styrene.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple of them, felt them, and it feels like styrene.
yeah, so I would reinforce it, but just a little elbow grease work onto that kit, you'd have a really great kit for, at the time, not so much. Now, I don't know.
Go back to
I
that
mean,
6 foot rule.
Yeah,
Are they
know?
even still producing that costume?
that's the thing. I don't know.
Yeah, it might be one of those where
They
you know
were all
it
over
was
eBay at one point.
right.
Yeah, but how much are they?
How much
charging?
are they on
Back
now?
in the day, last time I saw them popping up, they were like $4.99.99.
Yeah.
Shipping included. That was years ago.
Right.
Yeah, they may have gotten rare enough
Yeah.
at this
When
point that
was
people
Halo
are
3
wanting,
released?
$1,500.
08, give or take.
Give or take, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, last year was 20th anniversary, so
Of the regular Halo.
yeah, of
Original
No, I mean,
Halo.
that lines up from what I remember hooking up my Xbox on
Yeah.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Yep.
so. But like I have a plasma pistol, a Covenant plasma pistol. That's a disguise I got at Walmart on Halloween for like $10. And you've now got Boomco and Nerf puts out Halo weapons.
Yeah, they got some really cool ones
Right,
I was looking
and
at.
there are some really high ends. I think the only drawback with like some of the Nerf and Boomco stuff is scaling, because they're meant for kids and not adults.
Certain things are right, certain things are
Right.
smaller.
Right, but again, throw a paint job on them and they'll do
I
great.
can tell you for convention use,
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I'd love to
yeah.
carry around a Nerf gun because they don't weigh anything.
Oh god, yes. So
Yeah,
I
instead
pulled-
of
I
a
pulled
rubber.
I pulled lead weights out of like airsoft guns before.
Yeah,
And it's like as soon as you take them out, it just feels like a toy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for all day carry at a convention, like, there's a world of difference when you take out those couple of pounds or even just a couple ounces in weights when you're carrying something lightweight versus a foam-filled rubber or resin. They get so heavy.
You're playing the I'm switching hands game, and then by the end of the day, you're cursing yourself out wanting a 3-point sling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what other costume, are there any formal groups or just costume sort of fandoms in general? Because I've seen you in a bunch of different costumes over the years at conventions. I've looked at your convention lineups that you post on Facebook before the conventions, things like that.
So yes, when I say I'm a geek, I am a geek. Let's see. It would probably be shorter to list fandoms that I'm not really quote unquote a part of or like, but even then it's more of like I haven't gone full head first into them. First, Halo. I will have to say that Star Wars. Star Wars was probably my first fandom because I grew up with the original trilogy. Halo, Marvel. So for a while I was doing Star-Lord, and then I got just kind of identified as Captain America, and apparently I can't do anything else now.
It's so terrible being pegged as Captain America's face.
I mean,
because yours it's a face visible Captain America.
Yes.
So,
and honestly, that's kind of why I like to do it most of the time, is I don't have to wear a helmet of any kind. I can just be like, all right, I just style my hair and I can go.
Yeah.
So Marvel, most sci-fi properties that you can mention, I'm a fan of and do. Yes, I am a
Firefly.
Have you done any costumes
Brown
from
coats.
particularly notable?
Okay, so I was working on a Malcolm a long time ago.
Captain Reynolds? Okay.
Yes, Captain Tight Pants. Excuse me. If you're going to say it, you're going to say it right. Captain Tight Pants. Yeah, I was was going to work on him, but then I got distracted by other things. Anime. Anime's my other big thing that I do.
Is it? You've got one of your favorite ones. I see you wear, or at least for a while, it seemed like you were wearing it all the time. Was it My Hero Academia?
Actually, no, I haven't gotten into My Hero Academia. Okay, so
maybe I'm thinking of somebody else.
Here's a little clue. I am an old time anime person, so if it's after maybe 2010, I'm not fully aware of it.
Okay.
One of the anime.
Wait. Are you an elitist?
No,
I'm kidding.
No, I'm just old.
I'm kidding.
I'm just old.
Of all the costuming you do, Star Wars is the best, right?
I mean,
That's
It's just the best.
I just covered
Star
that.
Wars is the superior
It
costuming
is.
group.
I mean, I just kind of covered that. I like all of them. I was going to say, okay, so here, anime, I've done Soul Eater, so I made a big scythe for Soul Eater. Other video games, like I just said, I'm going to be doing not Cloud, but Zack. So I get to make a full Buster sword
from Final Fantasy.
from Final Fantasy VII. Anime, I've done Ruby. My wife has done Ruby, so I got to make Crescent Rose, the big scythe for.
I think I remember seeing the photos of the 3D prints when you were assembling that.
That wasn't 3D printed. That was all made from.
There was something you did.
My God, man, he doesn't 3D print.
Yeah.
No.
He doesn't even own a printer.
But he commissions a lot of 3D printed stuff. Right. But I remember seeing. Maybe it wasn't that one. But there was a big staff device that was 3D printed.
Okay, that might have been Soul Eater. The only thing I had Soul Eater was I had the head 3D print because it's like part screw, part whatever. But I made the blade for that out of Sintra. But Crescent Rose was all made from foam core, museum board, poster board, and stuff like that. Other anime I've done is Trevor Belmont from the Netflix, Netflix Castlevania. So yeah, that's kind of been all the stuff I've.
Oh, the 40K.
Yeah, so that's another fandom that I'm in that I want to do also is to make a Space Marine armor.
Oh, hail the God Emperor.
Yes, exactly. Um,
The
I-
Emperor protects. Brother.
yes. um, although I want to be one of the like mysterious Dark Angels. So,
Oh God.
Yep.
Okay.
yep. Okay, well, in my
It could have been
defense,
worse. He could have said, what, Tython?
um,
Not Tython.
I don't even know who
No.
that is.
Never mind. Don't listen to me.
Um,
I'm not Henry Cavill over here.
I
Obviously.
largely do. I'm doing that because Laura, my wife, wants to be able to watch her in the dark. So,
Okay.
um,
Yeah, I could see that.
and then I'm also kind of like getting my arm twisted to do some Critical Role characters. So there's the D&D and Critical Role aspects. So,
Yeah, but whenever you do all this stuff, you still got to admit Star Wars is just the best. Like, it's the easiest
hands
to do,
down.
and
I-
you get dressed faster. And
I mean, I would probably have to like see the different costumes on how fast we get. But again, I really am a geek and love all of it and enjoy trying my hand and embodying just all of the fandoms and everything. Again, to live up to the Geek Out Studio and just like, this is me geeking out over my fandom and everything.
Yeah. Now we were talking about your mascot here. Your
Oh yeah,
cheesecake.
my cheesecake, which is getting completely flooded out by the lights. I'm sorry.
Oh, he'll be able to zoom in.
Yeah.
No,
she'll
I
show
should.
up.
Okay,
nice.
I'll
she'll
just
show up
I'll
nice.
just turn my chest this way, poke it out some as best I can in armor.
He could get a good clip.
Yeah. I actually she actually had some name. Her name's Kaylee. I largely named her Kaylee in reference to Firefly because
That was my first thought. Yeah.
yes, largely because I'm an ODST and all the major voice actors in the ODST game is the cast from Firefly. Buck is oh god.
It's fine. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
live.
yeah,
we
no.
can always cut
Yeah,
it.
now find that
so-
nerd card in there and come
Yeah.
tear it up. No more.
It's Captain Hot Pants himself.
Reynolds, Captain Reynolds.
Yes, Captain
Okay.
Reynolds. You have the Baldwin brother is another one, and Alan Tudyk is another one of the.
I
the
never
ODS
knew that.
Yes,
So, in some weird way,
Dutch.
uh,
So I had to.
ODST is canon Firefly.
I
Or
mean-
Firefly is canon Halo.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go that direction,
In
totally.
a kind of a weird
Yeah.
way.
I just kind of like how
or
Event Horizon is canon for Warhammer
Warhammer 40K,
because they
they use a warp drive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they warp drive the same way. And
Um,
that's
Which
kind of
opened
where
the window to
right.
the warp.
Another
yeah.
thing, if you wanted to go that route, Halo is also somewhat canon to Battlestar Galactic because Tricia Heffler does the voice for Dare in the game too.
So all that being said, what is your favorite fandom?
I really actually don't have a favorite fandom.
Admit it, Star Wars is the best. It's the best fandom. So the topic of today's episode was video games in the costuming and fandom world, or
Yes.
video games as art.
Yes.
Like, obviously, we've covered video games and armor, and
Yeah.
like this one is actually specifically a Battlefront 2
Mm-hmm.
clone trooper officer Coruscant guard guy.
Shock trooper.
Yeah, something like that.
They're called
I
shock
don't
troopers.
remember, but there's like 3 different ones, and they're
Right.
they're Coruscant, James,
Coruscant.
Not
And then
croissant.
we
That's
have-
French bread.
Halo ODST. So I mean, we're already sitting here with
Yeah.
video game stuff today. So great topic selection, and we got Fallout.
Yep. Well, we'll get to the Fallout
yeah.
once, we're talking about our costumes that we've done. But, obviously for you, the video game played a big part.
Yes.
You know?
And it's something that we actually speak on regularly at conventions and panels and everything. What's really kind of interesting and a unique challenge with Halo armor versus some of the other armors that you see, and I will even say Star Wars armor, is that through most of Halo history, none of these armors actually existed in three-dimensional real space. So whereas like Star Wars, your Stormtrooper armor, your Scout Biker armor, all of that armor up until Clone Wars and Revenge of the Sith, all existed in three-dimensional space. They were designed to be worn by a person.
Yeah. Primarily a stuntman.
Yeah, primarily a stuntman. Halo was armor in people shape. Case in point, a little tidbit from the original Halo Combat Evolved. If you were to go and make a costume of Master Chief from Halo Combat Evolved to about Halo 2-3, you would have a bobblehead, and that is because when they made the model, there was no head under the helmet. The helmet is the head.
Okay.
So in order for you to put a helmet on your head, it has to be much larger, and they did not do that in like the first 3 Halo games.
They didn't think of like putting in an egg
no,
underneath
that's-
there as
yeah,
point
no.
of reference.
I mean,
Nothing?
my understanding, though, is that's slightly common in video games, is to
Right, yes.
enlarge the head and the hands because they are points of focus and they become
Right.
more easily
Yeah,
identifiable.
there's one
Yes.
thing in Fallout where there's a train that's moving, and since they didn't want to put in all the animatics,
Right.
they actually made an NPC's head the
a
train.
hat. It was a hat.
It was a hat. And yeah, okay. And the person walked underground
Yes.
to have the train move.
That's
I
awesome.
mean, it's an animator's
Right,
trick.
yeah.
You don't have to write code. You
Yeah.
don't spend all this extra time doing stuff that just didn't exist in the game for
right.
any other reason.
Well, and that was kind of the cool thing is I got to meet one of the lead designers for Reach and then Halo 4 at Outpost Discovery when they did that some like 2-3 years ago. And she was military. She was also she was former military and also a costumer herself. And she came in with her military rig and some of the costume bits from some of the other Halo and everything. Put it down in front of the animators and designers and told them, you have to realize this is what people are wearing. This is how it needs to be worn and fit and everything. And that's why in Halo Reach, you actually had the Spartans being able to take their helmets off and had actual helmets underneath and everything, and had heads underneath. It was because of her. Now, you still couldn't like fully shoulder your rifle. You still can't really bring your arms up to here because clipping is a thing.
Yeah.
And they can, but most of the later iterations of armor from Halo actually make better costumes because of the community, because of the 405th and things like that, and because of her telling the designers and animators like, people actually wear this stuff, so maybe we should kind of take that into account.
Yeah.
That's kind of the train for that.
The train as a hat for that. Yeah.
Yes.
So, it's safe to say that video games got you into costuming in a somewhat direct fashion.
Right. Because I played video games for years. I am a Nintendo person. I grew up with NES and Classic Mario, and I grew up with the video games as they developed. So yes, when I decided to costume, video games was the go-to, and largely Halo was the one I wanted to do, mainly because of, and this comes to a lot of our members too, is the memories and nostalgia associated with the Halo games, because gaming-wise, up until really kind of like GoldenEye and Halo, you didn't really have cooperative shooters.
Super Contra.
Well, yes.
Side scrollers,
Yeah.
yeah, but that was
Side
the best you
scroll.
could get.
That's the
that
earliest
was,
one I can really think
right. But no, like cooperative first-person shooters. Most of them were arena PvP
Yeah.
type things.
Yeah.
And so
The 007 GoldenEye.
right,
craze.
It was Doom on
yeah.
dial-up.
exactly. Halo allowed you to actually play the campaign as a team.
Yeah.
And so there's countless times I'd be playing with my brother, and I would be playing, and just the fun we had, and then just playing the campaign, and then you throw in some of the fun that we had, and he had online PvP,
Yeah.
and so forth, and so that's why us and a lot of our members gravitate towards Halo, was that nostalgia take. And then it just kind of blossomed from there. I was active on the forum and posting my work in progress on the ODST, and kind of like showing more and more interest with the organization, and that's when they tapped me to become XO, largely because I was active, but I was also making headways in establishing our own local fire team here in Pensacola. And so they're like, hey, you want to be XO? I was like, okay, yeah, sure. What does that mean? It's like, oh, you're second in charge, and you just kind of like coordinate things. I'm like, cool. And from that, I got the opportunity to go to Outpost Discovery, which was in an elevator pitch. It was basically Star Wars Celebration for Halo. It was a con completely devoted to Halo, the Halo universe. They had displays and everything set up from Halo. And how they had it kind of going was, it was like a museum in the Halo universe. You had some other kind of like escape rooms. One was themed behind the interior of a Pelican. Another was themed behind the interior of a Covenant ship. And so I got to go down to Orlando to be a part of that. Actually, the whole 405th regiment was invited. They were like, hey, come be a part of this.
Yeah. Sure.
And everything, because we want y'all down there.
Not to cut you off real quick,
Yeah.
but that's one of the cool points of being involved in a larger
Oh, yeah.
IP costume community.
Oh,
It's
yes.
Not to knock like an anime costumer or
Right,
something
yeah,
like
no.
that, but that's just not the sort of thing that would happen for so many of those animes that you see costumes at conventions, but they're not going to have a dedicated.
What's that factor? It's like, oh,
Right.
is that in that show that I watched that one time?
Yeah, but that's
I
kind of the
vaguely
beauty
remember
of
it.
being in something like the 501st or the 405th, is you get invited to those events, and being
Right,
able to
yeah.
do that stuff is just, it's mind-blowing. It's
And
really
the
cool.
fun thing with that, to finish off the story with that, is there was about 20 to 30 of us in armor that weekend. And one of our members had come up and created like little light up plaques for Steve Downs and Jen Taylor. That's the voice actors for Master Chief and Cortana.
Okay.
And so I reached out to the one of the coordinators, and at the time I did not realize this, but also basically the CO or CEO of 343. The company,
Yeah, the studio,
yeah, the
343
studio,
Studios.
and I was just like, hey, we have these, we'd like to give to Steve and Jen whenever they get a minute and are free. We'd like to give them. They're like, that's great. Let's talk with the people and everything, and we'll get back to you. I'm like, okay, cool. Couple hours later, they come back and they're like, okay, you're going to go upstage and give this to them tomorrow before their conference and everything that was being live streamed on Xbox, on the Xbox network. I'm like, oh, okay. So I immediately like message everybody. I'm like, hey, everybody in armor needs to be here at this time.
Yeah.
We've got something going on. And then so we got everybody in armor, and I'm looking around, I'm like, okay, who's going to give this to them?
Yeah, who's going to be the
Right,
actual
who's
presenter?
actually going to present them? And we had our actual our CO of the infantry division of the club was like, I'm not in armor, and you're the next ranking officer, so and you are in armor.
So you got tapped.
So you go do it. I'm like,
Way to draw a short straw right there.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, what?
How long had you been in the club at this point? When was this?
I think Outpost Discovery is about 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago.
So you'd been in the club or been in Halo costuming for about 6 years at that point.
Give or
Still
take.
relatively new
Right.
to the world of
Yes,
costume.
but it was still just the sheer fact that I'm going to have to walk up on stage without the helmet and present these plaques to
on
Steve
this live streamed
on
event.
this live stream event being streamed to millions, thousands.
Are you ready for your
Right.
close up?
Yeah.
Right.
Every step you take, please don't fall.
Yeah,
please don't fall.
And there were stairs leading up to
Yeah, the stairs. It's just like, nah, no
I'm just like-
award for you.
And I'm just like, and present this to Steve Downs, Master Chief, and Liz Taylor.
Yeah, you're giving these things
I'm
to
just like,
Master Chief and Cortana.
I'm like, okay, please don't stop. Please
It's
don't stop.
really nice where these events take us.
Oh, yeah.
In life, and things you never expect. I don't think any of us ever came out and like, oh, I have to get my membership so that I can go and do this.
X. It's like, no, I just want to do a cool
You just want
thing.
to do it, have fun, and
Yeah.
if you get to be part of something that's really fun like that, it's just chalked up onto experience.
Yeah.
And we're just glad that we
Or
did
the
it,
stuff
the
that's
opportunity.
completely
Or
like
just opportunity.
yeah, just opportunity.
Yeah,
I mean,
just the
I got to
opportunities.
spend an evening hanging out with Peter Mayhew in a bar in downtown Atlanta, completely off the books.
Yeah.
It was me and a
Just
couple other
there.
people. From the 501st, and he was like, okay, well, do you guys have any dinner plans? We were thinking about going to the steakhouse. Oh, well, I'll join you guys.
I'm showing you.
We literally got to spend an evening
Yeah.
drinking beers and eating steaks with Peter Mayhew.
And
how
that-
awesome is that?
Yeah, and the most recent big opportunity that the 405th had was we got to do the red carpet premiere for the Halo show on Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
So, and there was a solid day. I'm sitting there going, all right, how can I swing this? How can I get out to LA with my armor?
Yeah.
And everything. But it was great. They were just like, yeah, y'all stand behind the cast of the Halo Paramount. And it's like, okay.
Now, one of the, personally, for me,
But it was great.
sorry.
No.
One of the things that is probably my favorite thing about costuming is when we're at an event or a convention or whatever, and you see a couple of kids walk into the room and their eyes fix on you in your armor, and what previously to them had just been a video game or a TV show or whatever, and you see that little tick in they're like, oh my God, it's real. I mean, coming from a video game that these kids have literally grown up playing since they were old enough to hold, their controller with their big brother or whatever.
And the way it impacts their lives too.
Right.
They never thought, can I be this? And now they're going, I can be this.
Yeah.
And that's actually kind of one of the fun moments with Halo too. Is one, talking about seeing kids. We've done parades. We've done moments when I've done stuff where I'm in and around kids, and it is kind of funny because there's only two reactions you get. Either one, their brains explode and just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
Yeah,
or,
you could see the mushroom cloud from their head.
Or two, they flip out, start crying, and run away.
Run and hide.
And run and hide.
Because it's scary
And
robot
then you have the
man.
one that's, I like turtles.
Right, and like, I'm just here because mom says, or dad's standing next to him.
And then dad's flipping out.
Yeah, and dad's flipping out.
Because this is his fandom.
But the other thing, I've had a lot of people come up to me and be like, "Man, I'd love to do this, but I'm X. You can fill in the X for whatever." and I tell them, do it. We have a member that has amazing lock armor from Halo 5, and he's a paraplegic, but he has one of those really cool chairs that allows him to kind of stand up.
So
And-
even though he's wheelchair
Right.
bound,
Yeah, he does a full lock armor, and it looks cool.
yeah.
I've had people come up and to me and say, "Oh, I would like to do it, but I'm a bit big and everything." And I tell them, it's like, this is one of the great things about Halo armor, is the bigger you are, the more intimidating you are, because once you get all of that on, a particularly big person, you're going to look like a tank.
Yeah.
It levels out at a
Yeah.
certain extent.
This Halo armor is not sleek, form-fitting
Yeah.
armor. It is tank armor.
Well, the Star Wars armor was the original. The classic TK was built to fit around Hollywood stuntmen. That's
Right,
that's
yeah.
what they
Actually,
were.
the original armor was built to fit people about 5'6", 5'10", and 130 to 150 pounds.
Yeah,
Right.
That was
really
the
lightweight.
casting
Very,
call
very
for the
lightweight.
original stormtroopers. So I don't work in original movie armor. I'm
Yeah.
6'2", 230 on a good
Well,
day.
but that legacy lives on
Right.
in the 501st.
Sure.
But with the Halo, it's like what we do with the Fallout stuff. You
Yeah.
know, it's talking about more video games in costuming. We've done our Fallout stuff. I did a Raider. I literally wore a pair of boxer briefs under this very exposed heavy Raider armor
which
from
you are
Fallout
a far
4.
braver man than I am.
You know,
Hey, the weather was nice that day.
Oh, it was great, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
I would not have been able to do it if it weren't for the weather. Actually, I wore it again at a different not this past one of the cons. I wore it again, and it was too cold. I had to have clothes on under it.
I have that same problem with my armor. I designed my armor with Dragon Con in mind for me to be able to march in the Dragon Con costume parade.
Yeah.
I cannot wear my armor below about 70 degrees because my undersuit is a cool gear compression suit. It's designed to wick away
Yeah.
moisture and keep you cool. So,
And
You
it's
can
not.
always wear like a heat gear under that.
I mean,
You could
you say that
the-
now.
the-
Oh, I know. I've been there. I
but
mean,
that body glove is
Yeah.
already tight fitting to try
Right.
and cram
oh,
more
no,
stuff.
yeah, I know that
underneath
also.
it.
We did something at
Yeah.
the Blue Wahoo Stadium. I was wearing my first order armor, and I usually layer it up with the rib stuff. Well,
Right.
it was cold that night, but I decided for some reason not to wear my thick layer. Oh, I was freezing my butt off on the middle of the field, just dying to go.
Mistakes were made.
Like I knew
Yeah.
better than that. I just wanted to be comfortable that day,
Yeah.
and I was miserable.
I did an event at the mall back when there were several bad tornadoes that came through here. We were doing a fundraiser, and I was out there. The day felt great and everything, but the moment the sun went below the horizon and a wind came through, let me tell you, I could tell it was like 66 degrees, and I'm shivering like a chihuahua.
And that's why it's so nice up north in the sun. Oh, it's 30 degrees out. I'm out there short sleeves and
Right,
just
yeah.
fine in the sun. But
Yeah.
down here, it's like, oh, it's 65. Oh no, I'm bundling up.
That's
No.
something that sadly there are a lot of people in the 501st that have never traveled outside of their northern state and
Right,
don't
yeah.
understand
Oh,
southern
it's
heat
so
and
hot in
humidity.
Orlando, and I'm just like, this is normal weather.
Yeah,
This
we
is
we
fine.
get that. We get actually one of the cool things to kind of segue into that was we get a lot of requests on our side on like what do I use as like my Under Armour and everything, and we have the gamut of answers because again the undersuit changes depending on game, depending on character, and depending on resolution of said game. We've got people that try to do the full textured undersuit and everything, but by and large, we tell them either a flight suit or like a compression cool gear because it's like you're going to get warm.
Yes.
No matter where you live, at some point in the year, you will get warm. So, because no matter what you make your armor out of, it doesn't really breathe. It just is going to keep that body heat right near you. So
I've had condensation on the inside of my
Yeah.
armor so many times.
There have been times at events where you sweat so much,
Oh, yeah.
there's literal sweat dripping from the hard portion. You know, you lift your arm up and
It's just
it trickles down and it's dripping off of the forearm piece, or
Yeah.
it's hilarious. But yeah, to segue,
I'm going to bring you back into another question.
Okay.
So since we have so many different models, and since it wasn't designed for humans in
right,
mind,
yes.
So how does the 405th approach membership itself?
There's actually a couple of things. First and foremost, creating an account on the forum 405th.com makes you a member, but it does immediately kind of make you a what would be the
Candidates?
yeah
or like a probationary
probation
status.
member. Once you hit, I think 90 days and 150 posts, that makes you an active member. And pretty much just being an active member suddenly gets you access to where you can run for office. You can get some merchandise, but by and large, we have no restriction on you have to be you have to be an active member with this costume to participate in X.
Okay. Yeah, I'm like looking for your approval process.
We don't have one.
Okay. So just
yes.
as long as you have your I built it thread, or
Yeah.
here's my stuff showing
Right.
off under my
Now,
profile.
we have what is called deployment, and that's a three-tier system. But one thing to understand with deployment is it is completely optional. It is not required to participate, to join, to be a part of anything. It is just simply Halo's an Xbox game. It's an achievement. That's all it is. It is a way for you to submit your armor to some of the more tenured and experienced people and get feedback. And
So
that's
like
it.
so like a group of judges
Right.
to give you pointed
Right.
feedback on
Yeah,
improvements.
They're
and
not
what
they're
you
not
can do.
judging you to give you a thumbs up, thumbs down.
Right,
They're
yeah.
judging you to go, hey, you did well,
Well,
here,
here.
but I noticed maybe you could do a little bit something here. They're giving you honest
Right.
feedback about how to improve instead of just
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm looking for too. It's
Right.
like I'm looking for a group that's going to be accepting of people.
Right.
Yeah.
And
you know,
that's
and then build you up,
Right.
not tear you down from
Yeah,
the
no.
first instance, and then make you not want to do it.
and
anymore.
that's one thing. If you go around the forum or the Facebook groups, and I even do it personally, is some of our first members get started with there's an artist and YouTuber out there. It's DFT Trooper, the Foam Trooper. He put out a tutorial and some templates for ODST. It's a very basic build, but it's very easy. It's very basic. And it's a great way to get started. And we generally point people, be like, hey, that's a great start. And several of our own local people here started with that. But I saw them, I'm like, you're in Halo armor, we're trooping tomorrow, you come along and be a part with us. And they're just like, okay. And then from there, just being connected and being involved with us and just learning from us, they have upped their game to far better suits.
It takes the onus away from them. They're
Right,
not
yeah.
having to approach you hat in hand. Oh, guys, can I
Yes.
join?
And let me.
Yeah.
No, the other big thing is reason why we don't really bar anybody from participation is we say this in a lot of our panels and everything is to us, the guys in armor, while we get attention and we look cool, to us, the MVPs are our handlers.
Oh yeah, 100%.
They're the ones that are
Can you pick this up
right.
for me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I literally can't bend over.
Yep.
Can you pick this thing up that I dropped
Yep.
because I'm an
Otherwise, we all just look at it and it's like, that's where it lives. But it's our handlers that help us get into our costumes.
There's a meme there. We're gonna have to meme that at the next convention.
like
Have a bunch
right,
of
yes.
stormtroopers standing around and somebody's glove
actually
falling on the ground.
That literally, I wish we'd gotten a picture. That literally actually happened to me and a friend of mine when we were doing a con, and we were toting everything to the table. We're fully kitted and everything. We're toting everything to the table, and one of our Magnum props fall, and it's on the ground, and it's just. There's nothing else around.
Free prop right here. Whoever can pick it up.
Nothing else around. There's just two guys in armor just standing looking at this handgun just sitting on the ground.
And neither of you has the flexibility in
yeah,
armor to bend
we're
over
looking
and pick
around.
it
We're
up.
like, excuse me, can you come here? Yeah, can you? Yeah.
In sheer desperation moments, you can take
We can,
really,
yes.
really wide
Wide,
stance.
yes.
Yes.
And
do
hope
like
you don't tumble.
yeah, and do this kind of like yoga move.
Yeah, it works. You can. It's just you don't want to. Like
but-
I can sit in my armor
Yeah.
just
Well,
fine, but I don't want to unless I have
Yeah.
to.
But it depends on the armor.
It depends on
Right.
the armmer. And if now if it's a bar stool, bar stools are your
Oh,
friends.
gosh, yes.
Oh yeah,
Your-
I can
right,
lean
yeah.
up on a bar stool all day.
Your-
to get in this chair.
Your Fallout, the power
Oh, my
armor.
power
Oh, God,
armor?
no.
Oh, no, no,
You
no.
Yeah, no.
were 100% helpless. There
Yes.
was
100%.
nothing
Like
you
your
could
your
do.
hands don't
Work.
You can barely walk as it is. If you put me in it and walk away from me, I'm just gonna die.
Yeah.
You become a statue
You
at
had
that
to-
point.
I'm not moving.
You had to get pushed up the slightest incline
No,
because of the
okay.
stilts because
Yeah.
No,
you had no
it's
flexibility.
actually the opposite. Uphill, I'm
It's
fine.
good.
Oh, okay.
Downhill,
Okay.
oh, that's instant death.
That's what it was.
Yes,
pray.
You do build up the momentum, and it's really uncontrollable. But uphill, it's perfect because you have it going against you and slowing you down a little bit.
and that's again, that's why we love our handlers, because again, they help keeping us safe.
Yeah.
Because if
Yeah.
we're fully kitted up and got our helmets on, it's generally one of them's like stairs,
Yeah.
step,
And we can barely see.
Yeah.
We can barely hear.
and they can get us water and things like that. So that's when we do not like.
And then it hits a point, get me out of this thing.
Right, because that's our handler is my wife Laura. She has been dubbed Squad Mom because even once we are fully kitted up and have our helmets on, she can be clearly heard from no matter where. Because
She just has that voice that'll penetrate
well,
any helmet.
yes, well, and she knows how to project from her diaphragm so she doesn't
Yeah.
shred her vocal
Yeah.
cords. And it's just hilarious because she's like 5'4", and you just hear squad, and everybody's like, "Yes, mom." So and that's why I go back to not barring participation. We love our handlers, and if you're willing to be a handler, and you're willing to be to put in the time to watch the table to help us and everything, yes, we're not
Yeah,
going.
yeah.
Yes,
Being a handler is also a good introduction. If you're
Yes.
interested in doing it, come hang
Right.
out, see if your personalities mesh.
Mesh.
See if you can kind of grasp the basic concepts of how the armor goes goes together.
right.
Or just learn how
Yeah.
the armor goes on and what you're going to be facing if you
Yeah.
decide to build a costume.
And that
for
keeps your
yourself.
financial commitment,
Right.
away from it.
And if not, if you just want to do soft costumes, okay.
Yeah, by all means.
And
You can pick things up.
still, yeah.
Hence why I asked about the naval officers from the UNSC
Yeah,
just with their fabric uniforms or something like that.
Actually, the easiest soft costume for 405th is Oni Scientist.
What about Cortana?
Okay, yes.
Okay.
Well,
but that one
Skin suit
you're going to
Cortana?
have to get your skin suit airbrushed. And,
no.
Oh, they make dye subs.
No. Most of our Cortanas, they get a bodysuit from, I think, like either Hero Times or something.
Okay, so there's
they make,
somebody
like,
that's
Spider-Man.
producing.
Yeah,
the
it's
quality
about
one,
like
yeah.
Spider-Man, but that's a little bit of a challenge because then you still have to get the blue wig and paint your face.
I'm doing it.
Yeah, I was just
I'm
going to
doing
say,
it.
I'm going to order my Cortana
Okay,
skin
yeah.
suit and my
We-
blue wig.
Yes,
And we'll be accepted.
yes.
Yes.
I was going to say Oni scientists are a lot easier because it's just light blue scrubs, not a blue. What am I talking about? A white lab coat with some like blue paint or applique.
Little
put on-
details
yeah,
on the
and that's
shoulders.
it.
Yeah.
And you're an Oni scientist.
And just like that, you're an NPC.
Right.
Nice.
That's actually what they had the staff at Outpost Discovery dressed as was Oni scientists, and that's all they had was blue scrubs and like white
The lab coat.
white lab coats with some blue details on them. And there you
I
go.
gotta look that up.
Yes.
Because I don't even know that Oni scientist off the top of my head. My video game
The
knowledge is
the
ONI?
shameful.
yes, it's ONI, Office of Naval Intelligence.
Well, that's a small office.
Yeah. A lot of it's based off of Halsey's look, and we're diving into Halo lore, which, but that's one of the easier ones. Another really easy one is one that my brother and sister,
okay.
yeah,
Yeah, there it is.
Oh yeah. That's-
Yeah, blue scrubs, a little bit of blue on the lab
Lab
coat,
coat,
some
and that's
blue pauldrons,
Yeah.
cuffs, if you want to get really ornate.
yep. Another one, another really easy one that my brother, sister, and wife, sister-in-law and wife did for a bit was PT Spartans, which you got to see in Halo 5, was basically the mass-produced Spartans doing PT training, and all it was just their tech suits with BDU trousers on, which you can get a Halo 4-5 tech suit, screen print like the Spider-Man suits, and then just gray BDU pants on over it.
Yeah, but I don't want to constantly be having to drop down and do push-ups and shit
Oh,
like that.
the memories, eh?
No,
I mean, you'd be the
those
only
days are
one.
done.
Yeah, you'd be the only one.
But that's kind of part of the there's a responsibility when you're wearing a costume.
Yes.
You have to represent the character. So
Yeah, sure.
if you are representing the character that is known for that thing, you need to be
As soon as,
prepared.
hey, can I get a photo with you? Sir,
That's
yes,
right.
sir.
Right, yes.
Right on to push-ups.
right.
Right, yeah.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah, because that's totally. We get that ass all the time in our armor. It's like, can you do this? Like, no, we are turtles.
Yeah.
You push us on your backs. That's how we die.
And that's
Yep.
the benefit of being in foam armor at that point. You fall in
true.
the water, you'll float.
Yes, or you can take your foam armor off and just throw it across the
That
room.
works too.
I love that.
All right, I'm gonna backpedal away
yes.
from this discussion a little bit. So Barry, while you're here, what projects are you working on right now, and what's your goal and deadline for them?
Okay, projects I'm working on right now is Zach Fair for Final Fantasy VII. Deadline for that is the con in June, which is going to be Mississippi Comic Con in Jackson, Mississippi. After that, I don't really have any hard projects. I'm literally tossed between doing my own Spartan or going ahead and pulling the trigger and doing a 40K Space Marine.
That's gonna be a big trigger pull, like literally, because
yes.
the trigger is like that big.
Yeah. Space Marines are 2+ meters tall, so yeah,
Right.
big trigger, big hands,
and-
big guns.
Well, and that's one of the reasons why I haven't is like I'm still debating whether or not I want to upscale it to actual just over 6 feet or scale it to fit me.
Yeah.
I can tell you from the Fallout experience, you want it closer to fitting you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You really do. Stilts are neat.
Right,
They're,
yeah.
They're fun. You're imposing. People know where you
Yes.
are, but it is inherently dangerous.
Yeah, and that's kind of my goal with the Space Marine is that I'm 5'10", So with and I was shooting for just maybe like 6 inches. 6 inches would put me at just middle of like 6'5".
Yeah, a little over 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About 6'5", which is a good good comfortable range for Space Marines. Most think, oh, they're 8 feet. No, they are not 8 feet tall. Space Marines are 7 feet tall, or in that range of just over 6 to 7 feet tall.
Hold on. I just want to address this controversy head on. This is not the 501st.
Yes, no.
This is for all of the purists and the fanboys out there that are going to be just screeching while they hammer at their keyboard
I can almost hear it
about
now.
actually, chill out. We're talking about costuming.
Yes.
They're all pretend worlds anyways. It doesn't matter, because I can guarantee you, while you read one thing in one book that said, oh, a Space Marine is X tall, guess what?
The canon
The
can
40K
change.
world has been around since the late 70s.
No, it's been around. I think they got started mid 80s. They Games Workshop started by doing supply one-offs and articles for AD&D.
Yeah.
But
Either way, it's been around
Yes.
a lot longer than you have been a fan of the universe, and I can guarantee you, I can find the documentation.
something somewhere
that says
says
that a
something
Space
else.
Marine is 6 foot,
Six or whatever.
approximately, or whatever.
And there's-
it doesn't matter.
Or you just take the orc approach and, group believe it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Will it into existence.
So, anyways,
Right.
you were saying.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. We've diverged a couple of times into lore and various things, and it's the same with Spartans and Halos. Like, Master Chief may be X, but there are Spartans that are taller or shorter, lighter. Case in point, lore-wise, the biggest Spartan 2 is George. He's the largest Spartan 2. I think the smallest Spartan 2 was, I think, Kelly. So...
Well, but that's
again,
whether you are costuming as your own like headcanon
Right, yeah.
character, or even if you are costuming as one of the named characters, that's the beauty of it, is you get to pretend to be that person, even though you might not be 6'4" and
Oh, yeah.
310 pounds wall of muscle.
yeah.
You can put on that costume and pretend
Oh,
for
yeah.
that day.
I've seen plenty of short Captain Phasmas.
Yes,
And they're women
yeah.
that want to wear it because it's a female character
Yeah,
wearing armor.
she's a
Congratulations.
badass,
Yeah, I've worn Captain Phasma.
Yes.
And I wore it because I was tall.
yeah.
That's the only reason I wore it. I was just tall.
The short Captain Phasma,
I would like to
the
wear it
tall
'cause it's
Jawas.
shiny.
I
Yeah.
do like shiny silver balls
if
are nice.
that's what attracts people to it, yeah.
I've been able to I've got in the before times I had a large portion of women interested and working on Halo armor, just simply from hanging around our group or just seeing it, and I just tell them, I'm like, yes, you can do this.
Yeah.
But the nice thing is with Halo armor and now I will say now Star Wars armor, as opposed to any other video game, sci-fi, what other fandom,
Movie, TV show, whatever.
women armor in other fandom is generally very sexualized.
Yeah.
In Star Wars and Halo, no, you are a woman wearing armor.
Yep.
So
Oh, that's how it should be, because the
Yes.
video game logic is the small little chainmail breast
Yeah.
bra, gives you 50 damage resistance, while the
Yes.
man with the same 50 damage resistance is wearing full-on battle armor.
yeah.
Yeah.
But no, she's protected with a completely exposed midriff.
I'm waiting for the fantasy video game that inverts that.
Ew.
I'm waiting
I don't
for
want
that.
to see that.
That according to
I think that would
according
be
to what I hear on
hilarious.
Discord, that's apparently Final Fantasy. What's the new one? 15, 14.
Probably no.
The,
14.
the one that's
14
out
is-
right now.
14 is the online version. 15,
Yeah.
15 was the boy band bachelor.
It is 14 because I see my buddies type it at FFXIV. So yeah,
Okay.
apparently that one is full of like cat boys.
Okay,
with,
yes.
Wearing nothing but
Okay,
like little
yes.
tiny leather shorts.
Yes.
So that is the
That-
inversion
yes,
of
that
that
checks.
apparently.
But yeah, it's great, and because I remember with Halo Reach, the only way you could like tell the difference between a male Spartan and a female Spartan was the female Spartan had hips and maybe a little bit of a taper on the waist, and that was it.
All right, guys, we had a little bit long one today, but thank you all for joining us. We had another wonderful podcast today brought to you by Raid Shadow Legends. No, we're not letting it die.
No.
All right, guys, we
I
will
mean,
be
that's
back
how
next.
you tell you've made it.
All right,
That's
when
right.
Raid
When
sponsors
you. Get the
you.
Raid Shadow
Yeah.
Legends sponsor.
We could use a new camera and some other stuff, so yeah, come and sponsor us. All right, guys, you'll tune in
I'd
next
like
week.
to get paid in something other than expired fast food coupons.
We have some dry,
Wait,
crusty bread
you
out
guys
back.
are getting paid?
No. No, we're here out of the generosity and kindness of our hearts.
Yeah.
That's right. So yeah, it's been great. Barry, thank you so much for your time.
Not a
It's
problem.
Been
Thanks.
fantastic.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Yep, until next time, guys, keep on trooping.